most of you probably can figure this out, but if you haven't yet, on the back wall, our dean came early this morning, okay, and taped up all of your names with the assignment of your advisor. After you see who your advisor is, move that way, and there are sign-up sheets. There are a couple of sort of complicating observations about this. Some of you have said that the blocks that are available with your advisor do not jive with your schedule, either their fields or other things. If that is the case, just email your advisor, an email, and he or she absolutely will be happy to make an individual appointment outside of the block that's been set aside, okay? If your advisor is Fran Burke or Lynn McMillan in Charleston or Greenville, but specifically, if either of them has been assigned to you, don't worry. Just like I promised you that this information would appear, Lynn and Fran will communicate with you in terms of how they will work, getting in touch with you and setting up an advising time. Okay? So don't stress about that. A couple other things. Ana Lucia has quarters if you need it for parking. I think we have not been, I think our buy is passed. We don't have to pay for parking yet. So, but Ana Lucia has quarters. The other thing, just sort of general, I've had a few people come up feeling, in the whole stress of things, worried that you haven't seen the syllabus online or haven't been contacted by an instructor who you expect to be contacted by. Again, as I said to someone, don't you take that on yourself to worry about. We'll have a division of labor of worrying. And so let your instructor worry about the syllabus and organizing that. You just show up when you're supposed to show up, okay? So let us worry about that. Don't take it on yourself and add it to your list of worries, okay? A little faith in the instructors, okay? If you have questions, though, and you're worried about that, you can always email your instructor for an individual response, okay? Are there any questions sort of along that line before we get started? While your colleagues are finishing there. Yes?
The part-time students,
Yes.
you're doing a lot of them.
A lot of what?
A lot of the stuff online.
Yeah.
Thursday, we're doing our first class.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to figure out if I need to go to that class or if I need to just.
Yes, you are trying to figure that out. Okay. Yes, I know you are. Let me, and there's been a lot of conversation about this. Let me simply say that feel free to contact your instructor, through that or email, however, and ask specifically for instructions on that, okay? I will likewise make sure that your instructors are telling you, so that there should be both ways of communication. There has been some confusion about this. I apologize for that, and we'll get it straightened out, okay? But thank you for raising that, okay? The thing with the advisors, I just want to say, this is the first year in several years that we've gone back to a system in which first-year beginning students have academic advisors. In the past, the span was 10,000 people's advisor, and it just was not an efficient and good use of our various expertise and time. So a little bit of the roughness in this is just that we're going back to our system. So it's a little bit rough in working out the details, but it will be fine. If your faith doesn't carry you through, just contact me. Yeah. Okay, what someone said is you are in Charleston, but your advisor is here. That doesn't make sense. So you shouldn't have to drive here to get advisement. It may be that your assignment was made based on where you live or some sort of information that wasn't correct. Would you give me your name, and I'll make sure that you get the right letter. Anything else? Yes?
I'm kind of probably questions. I don't understand what kind of advice
Well, the point of advisement is it's really nice to have someone to know and speak to. It's important for us to get to know you so we can just, be here with you on your journey through this process. It's really good just to have a faculty person to whom you can come and speak about any, whether it's thinking about your professional development, your personal development, personal issues. And so we just think that it's better to have someone who gets to know you over the course of your time here. You will have one visit with your advisor, and you may not have a visit, or you may become a regular, and have various kinds of conversations. So it really is to be a resource for you that you may or may not want to take advantage of. It's a big program. We don't want you to get lost. So, anything else? Okay, well, speaking of getting lost or not, I am very happy that Tom Bubble is here from the University Counseling Service to talk to you about their services and just to help sort of orient you in terms of the theme of taking care of yourself as you make your way through the master's program.
I don't think I need it. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, good. Welcome, future social workers. How y'all doing this morning? Good. It is wonderful to see so many wonderful helpers in the room. And so, my name is Toby Lovell. I'm one of the assistant directors at the Counseling and Human Development Center here on campus. I have a few goals for you all today. They're easy goals, but just a few. So, when you leave here today, I want you to know where the Counseling Center is located. When you leave here today, I'd like you to know what the Counseling Center does. And when you leave here today, I want you to know how to access our services. And probably most importantly, when you leave here today, I want you to know why you all should access some of our services. I love social workers. I'll start there. I work with a lot of social workers in the counseling staff. I was trained as a psychologist, and that's all well and good, but one of the things that I love about social work is you all meet your clients where they are. So, my job at the counseling center, I view, is meeting clients where they are. And part of that is I'm in charge of everything that happens outside of the counseling center. And so I'll ask you, most of the time on campus, do you think mental health issues, where do they first arise? When, where, how?
Stress from studying.
Stress from studying, okay. Do they usually happen inside of the counseling center Monday through Friday, 8 to 5? No. So part of meeting folks where they are in terms of their mental health crises, we do realize, finally, that most of the time stress does arise from studying. Thank you. Most of the time it does happen after 5 o'clock or on weekends. Most of the time it doesn't happen inside of the Burns building in the counseling center. Most of the time it happens, in your room with a friend or a family member. Most of the time, people in emotional distress talk to a friend or a family member before they will talk to a counselor. And so part of what I'm doing is we have some new services that I'll talk about under the umbrella of community-based services. What that fancy term means for you is that we are meeting folks where they are outside of the counseling. So before I get started, you can tell me, maybe you already know, where the counseling center is located. Burns building, very good. If you don't know where the Burns building is, it's very easy to find. If you would walk through the horseshoe this way, keep walking and walking and walking, you would run into the Burns building. Burns building is on 901 Sumter Street, on the corner of College and Sumter Street. Burns building is a big green building. There's a lot of programs in that building, the international programs are in Burns. The Counseling and Human Development Center is on the top floor, on the 7th floor. 901 Sumter Street, Burns building, 7th floor. Our phone number at the Counseling Center, and you may want to write this down, is 803-777-5223. I'll start with some of the clinical services, some of the services that we offer inside of the counseling center. But before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about our services in general. Counseling and Human Development Center services are free to you all. They're covered under your student health services fee. Our services are confidential, and probably most importantly, you don't have to have a problem come in to see us as a counseling center. In fact, I encourage folks to ward off emotional health problems or mental health problems via preventative care. And so I think it's a good idea to do growth-oriented therapy, growth-oriented counseling, and that kind of stuff. Again, that kind of inoculates folks against stress. As a helper, as a therapist, speak to you from the heart. A lot of times, helpers, people in the helping professions, are the worst help seekers. There's many different reasons, I think, for that, but one reason is that sometimes we think we should have it all together. And when you don't have it all together, then you really beat yourself up really bad. And so I'm here to tell you, it's very important that you first and foremost take care of yourself. There's no way that you can help other people if you don't take care of yourself. So I'm going to reframe this as it would be very responsible of you all to come and get our services. And by the way, we work with a lot of students, social work students, and we help a lot of folks. We do individual counseling, we do couples counseling, family therapy, crisis intervention. We have psychiatric services available, and we have an extensive group therapy program. Our group therapy program is growing by leaps and bounds because we're finding more and more students are coming in presenting with social anxiety. The treatment of choice for social anxiety most of the time is group therapy. And we have a lot of different groups. Probably most importantly for you all is we have groups specifically for graduate students, but we have groups, different theme-oriented groups as well, writing group, women's group, GLBT group, that kind of stuff as well. If you're interested in any of our services, the easiest way to access your first appointment, to access our services, simply call that very easy to remember phone number is 803-777-5223. And what will happen there is we'll do your first appointment on the telephone. It'll only take about 10 or 15 minutes. You can do it from the convenience of your room, classroom, car, wherever. We'll do a brief appointment with you. We'll briefly assess what's going on, and then we'll connect you with some services to be able to help you out. Some of the community-based services that I've referred to earlier that we're doing more and more of, one thing for you all to know, a lot of times, again, students in distress usually go to other students for help and support. And the service that we've always had at the Counseling Center, but we're officially unveiling as a service in the fall semester, is consultation to the campus community. What that means for you is if you're concerned about a friend, you're concerned about a colleague, you can get a free and confidential consultation by calling 803-777-5223, and all you need to say is, hey, I'd like to talk to a therapist, I'd like to talk to a counselor about a student I'm concerned. What we'll do there is we use our expertise to help the student by empowering you to help the students identify resources that help them cope. So they may be internal resources that they're aware of or not aware of, and that may be external resources too. And so what we're doing is we're empowering the campus community to be more astute at helping and making mental health everybody's business on this campus. It just works better that way. Not to do the therapy or the counseling, but probably to connect that student with the proper resources like I was referring to. So that's a consultative service that we have available. The other big thing that we're doing right now, we are launching what's called Let's Talk sites. Let's Talk is a program, a free program, for students to come and get free consultation for their own personal issues, concerns. It's not counseling, it's not treatment, it's not therapy, but in a Let's Talk site, you walk in and you do problem solving, support, advocacy. The counselor, the Let's Talk counselor, will connect you with resources to be able to help you out. It's a free service. It's on a first come, first served basis. You don't have to schedule an appointment, and we're going to have different sites across campus. Our first site is in the law school, and that'll start Tuesday, September 11th, from 1 to 3 p.m. Any student is encouraged to go to any Let's Talk site. So, for example, it's in the law school, but you often go over to the law school and be seen. Again, first come, first served. Another thing that we're doing right now is suicide prevention gatekeeper training. These are called Campus Connect. If you're familiar with that program, it's an evidence-based program for suicide prevention on college campuses. If you're interested in one of those programs for a group of you all or individually, contact me at the Counseling Center and we can make that happen for you all as well. The other thing I'll encourage you all to do is to check out our website. You go to USC main page, Student Health Services, Counseling and Human Development Center. We have revamped the website. It's almost done. It should be unveiled Thursday, but check it out. We've got several new things on there. One thing I'll highlight is when you go to the main page there, we have what's called the interactive screening program. And so this is a free and confidential mental health screening, and it enables you to take free and confidential screening. That free and confidential screening will go to a counselor at the Counseling Center, and then based on your responses, we'll dialogue with you, and again, hopefully connect you with the proper resources to help you out. And the icon there at the main page of the Counseling Center will say, take a free mental health screening. So that's called the interactive screening program. I'm trying to think of other things I wanted to highlight today. Again, there's no wrong door to the Counseling Center. Feel free to give us a call. Don't hesitate to call for any reason. The other thing that I think I will highlight is that we do have appointments available for crisis and emergencies every afternoon from 2 to 4. Feel free, if you're in a crisis or emergency, just to walk on over to the Counseling Center. I think I will end there, but I wanted to have some time. Any questions about anything that I just said? Yeah.
I have two questions. Do y'all do testing for learning disabilities?
We do. That's a good question. We do not do testing for learning disabilities, but we do have local providers. So what we can do is connect you with somebody that can do the testing.
Do y'all provide services to the students who are taking their
Yes, we will, but they have to come here, so it's not ideal.
That was my question.
Okay.
You don't operate phone or Skype?
Not yet, but that's a good idea. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you had, like, if you did want to do a therapy sessions, routine sessions, is there like a certain amount that you have to pay for?
Oh, that's a good question. So, it said, is there a certain amount of sessions that you get free or you have to pay for? Under your student health services fee, all of our services are free. You get 12 individual sessions per academic year. Beyond your 12, then there is a nominal fee associated with that. Most of our services, however, are free. Most of our services are group, quite honestly, and group is free, as many groups as you want to do and as long as you want to do them. And then the next academic year, the 12 rolls over. I will say most folks don't approach their 12 sessions at all. I think average is 3 or 4 individual sessions and folks tend to be good to go. And they also tend to do individual and group therapy and maybe medication as well.
But it's a very nominal fee.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, in comparison to sort of the market. right?
Completely nominal. And the other thing is, in student health services, our business office will bill any insurance. And so you may pay a nominal fee up front, and then you could get reimbursed from that once the insurance comes back. Yeah.
If we waive our insurance because we have private insurance, that's not this, right?
Your student health services fee is included in all the fees that you pay to be a student here at USC. Student health service billing office will bill private insurance as well. And so I always encourage students for not just counseling center services, but for general medicine, campus wellness, and all those other things. It doesn't hurt to bring your insurance card by the business office in Thompson Student Health Center. Thompson Student Health Center is right behind the Russell House, and if you walk in that front door and to your left, the business office is right there to your left. And you can submit your insurance information so they have it on file. Ready to go.
Can you find the
Yeah, Thompson Student Health Center, and that's directly behind Russell House. Oh, excuse me. The website, if you go to the USC main page, and then you type in Student Health Services, and then you type in Counseling and Human Development Center.
The handbook for our program is on the website as a live link
Good.
for the counseling center.
More questions? These are good questions. Yeah.
You may have already addressed this, but I'm coming from Greenville, and I know I pay the fee for the health services. Is there anything, can I go to see a doctor somewhere near me, and it's paid for because that's what I paid for, or do I have to come to Columbia to use that?
You can go to any doctor that you want to. I think the thing I would recommend is on the front end is to submit your insurance information to business office of student health services. Then they might even reimburse you for that visit.
But didn't we pay for insurance when we registered? I mean, that's what I paid for,
You
right?
pay for student health services insurance, correct?
Okay.
So you're entitled to the services that we have here.
So it does not apply to anything outside of business?
It might, but then I think you have to go to the business office and see about reimbursing. The way that insurance works, my understanding, and I'm not an expert on insurance, is that we pay up front and then you might get reimbursed. The billing office will bill. There is a counseling center there. Could they go to Upstate Counseling Center? And I don't see why not. I've worked with that. There's wonderful people there too. Yeah. Other questions? Good questions. Very good. Well, if you have further questions, my name is Toby, 803-777-5223, and I wish you all a very good year.
I just want to encourage you that the Cancer Center is an outstanding provider of mental health services. Truly, they have just excellent staff, and the notion of preventive counseling is a great idea. Also, for those of you who may be very clinically inclined and want to do therapy, it's a great field placement. It's very competitive, as you might imagine. It's a great place to do field placement. So, as I had said to Tony before, I'm old enough that when I did my master's degree at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, at that time, a lot of programs required that master's social work students be in therapy. The point being that it is imperative to know ourselves well, to help other people. Now, I understand the designation sort of long gone, but sort of within that, please think about that. Yes, I'm sorry. Use the services. Don't be shy. Self-knowledge is critical. Okay. If you're really paying attention to this as you become a master's level social worker and are really engaged in it, it should be a journey of self-discovery. It isn't just going to class. When I did my master's degree and I took psychopathology, I was amazed to find out that I really qualified for every diagnosis in the DSM. One short version. I did kind of weed out some of those over the years, but the point being is that it is a process of self-discovery for the purpose of professional development. Okay. So with that, we have Dr. Huck, whom you saw on YouTube, smashing the students' phone. So I guess part of self-care is not to bring your phones to Dr. Huck's class. Rob, I say, actually, he's about one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Rob Hawk again. And I'm talking about taking care of yourself in graduate school. I'm pretty sure that the orientation committee asked me to do this because they knew I'm a therapist and have worked with numerous graduate students and undergraduate students in that capacity. And, or maybe it's because I'm probably the closest to my own master's degree of any of us on the faculty, so I don't think that's quite true, but close enough. So maybe I remember it better, what it was like to get my MSW. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart for the reasons that Toby mentioned and Dr. Farber mentioned. Because, if you're taking care of yourself, you perform better. Your performance is higher, tasks become easier, you have more energy, and, that would suggest that you're going to do better. It would make it easier to complete this program. But on the flip side of that, you all are at the top of your game. And as I look around the room at faces and some of the people I've talked to so far, you're a high-achieving group of individuals. You've already overcome a lot of challenges at this point. You probably take a lot of pride in that. And so why stop now? Why not challenge yourself more? I think you're up for a greater challenge. So if it's easier to complete the graduate program if you take good care of yourself, why not increase the challenge level a little bit? Let's not make this too easy for you. So if it's easy to do it when you're taking care of yourself, wouldn't it be that much more challenging if you also completed the program while you were miserable the entire time? Wouldn't you feel that much more proud of your accomplishment if you had done it while you were miserable the whole time? Why make this easy on yourself? You've never taken the easy way out. Okay? So, the orientation team doesn't know I'm talking about this today, but I've just changed my talk title slightly. And I've got a bunch of tips. I hope I'll make it through all of them, but if I don't, you can ask me later for notes, and I'll provide those to you. I'm also available for consultation around this topic. I'm an advisor, so, but even if you're not my advisee, I'm happy to talk to you more about how to achieve this goal. Okay? So, let's start, and my PowerPoint is mostly screwed up, but I managed to get one slide in here. Let's start with a few behaviors you can start adopting now. Okay? You don't have to wait to do this. In terms of sleep, what you want to do is stay up late working on homework, get up early to take the kids to school or whatever it is you have to do. Or at the end of a long day, spend a lot of leisure time doing like nothing activities, like watch TV for 2 hours at night or something and stay up late doing that. That's an easy way to stay up late. So reduce your sleep level. In terms of your diet, you're going to want to drink more alcohol, especially right before bed, because alcohol kind of makes you feel tired, but it also disrupts your sleep cycle. So even while you're sleeping, you're getting less rest. So alcohol is a good way to do that. Stimulants late in the day, so you can study or get through that last, a 5 to 8 class, or whatever that last class is of the day. Lots of fried foods, soda, high fructose corn syrup. The great thing about soda is it gives you this boost for about 25 minutes after you drink one. And after that, your blood sugar crashes and it makes you tired for hours afterwards. And so soda is a great way to be exhausted, during graduate school. High fructose corn syrup, anything with simple carbs in it. I like to look in the back of an ingredients list for bleached white flour, things like that are really good things to look for. Exercise is just way too much time and it hurts. Why would you do that to yourself? Avoid seeking help. I completely agree with what Toby said and with what Dr. Farber said. That's exactly why we should avoid it. Because, after all, we as social workers don't really think highly of the people who come to seek help or need help. We certainly don't want to be one of those people. Am I right? Right? Okay. That's just a few things. Actually, there's one more here. Nope, I got it. I'm going to talk and then move on. Okay, any questions so far? Let's just, I think we've been sitting long enough now. Let me just go through a couple ideas, more sort of physical ideas of how you can be miserable in graduate school. So, if everyone would please stand up. Okay, please stand up. I can't ask you to spread out. If you spread out, we reach into the next block. And if you can't see me, I'll keep the microphone so that you can hear me in the back. I thought about getting up on the chair, but okay. So everybody's standing. Loosen up a little bit. And what I'd like you to do is just reach your arms real slowly right over your head, as high as you can. I mean, stretch so that you're touching. Okay, just a couple inches higher, people. Okay, that's good. Now let your arms come down real slow. And as they're coming down, just exhale them slowly. Okay. Allow yourself to keep standing. Stand up straight and tall. Proud. Feel how that feels, that stance. Let's take a deep breath. So we're going to draw in through our nose, real slowly. Your diaphragm's expanding down into your stomach like a balloon, so draw that breath down deep into your stomach. Hold it for just a couple seconds. Blow it out real slow through your mouth. Feel your shoulders relax a little bit. Okay. Now, just take a moment and see how that feels to you. Okay? Feels pretty good, right? And that's exactly why we should be doing this. Okay? This is exactly what we're working away from right now, okay? So I want to make sure that I don't see anyone doing these types of moves during the graduate program here at South Carolina. So let's try a couple other things instead. This kind of wrong in this chair. Okay, so everyone can sit back down. And again, if you can't see me, I apologize, I don't have the stage. Okay, so what I'd like everybody to do is make sure you're seated. Okay, everybody's got that. Okay, now scoot your bottom just towards the end of the chair. Lean back. Okay. Feel that? Feel how that pinches the bottom of your back? Perfect. Now kind of pretend you got the remote controller. Okay? This puts a lot of tension in parts of your body that make your back sore, neck sore, all kinds of things like that. So this is a real good one. Okay, remember that one. I got one more. Okay, stay seated. Just staying seated for long periods of time is what we're going for. Now we're going to be on our laptop. Okay, and we want to have our hands up high on a laptop surface. Okay, so just kind of put your hands up like this. Feel the way that pinches the muscles in your back, right? It kind of puts pressure, and maybe your wrists feel a little uncomfortable after a while. I'm bad at this. At my office, I have a keyboard tray that's down at a nice, comfortable angle. But you want to get them up high, like on a laptop. Okay, those are the kinds of positions we want to try and keep ourselves in as graduate students. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Give yourselves a round of applause. We're already getting there. I appreciate your patience. Okay. Here's our way. Okay. So those are just a few things that we could do. Let's talk about a few ways we can think. A few thoughts we could, sort of ways we can approach things that might be helpful in achieving our goal. The reality is that you coming into a master's program, you are in a learner role. That you are necessarily coming into a situation where you know less, and the people who are teaching you know more. And so your task, your role is to learn, which necessarily means that you have something to learn. That's exactly where you should be. That's a healthy, normal task. But I'd like you to forget that. Okay, just for the next couple of years, I want you to forget that. And instead, I want you to perceive or allow your lack of knowledge in these areas to help you feel more inadequate. Right? That's what we want to go for. So if you're in a class and you feel like, man, I don't know any of this, beat yourself up, feel more inadequate, blame yourself, okay? Instead of acknowledging that this is exactly where you should be. Right? Become overwhelmed. That's one way we can get there. Focus your attention on things that are outside of your control. Okay? So, oh gosh, let me think about, what are some examples? I don't know, some of the life situation that you have no control over, or some programmatic thing that we're working on that's going to take 5 years to change, or whatever it is. Try and focus on that instead of something you could change, something that's internal, or something that is an external problem, but it's something you could actually do something about. You could approach someone, you could file a complaint, you could make suggestions to make things better. The beautiful thing about focusing on something outside of your control for our purposes is that the more energy you devote worrying and complaining about things that are outside of your control, the less energy you have to actually do things that are productive. And so that is a wonderful way to make this program more challenging for yourself. Any questions about that? Okay. Now this next thing is small, but over the next 2 years or 3 years, you will be exposed to hundreds of new concepts, new ways to think, new skills, new techniques that are all designed to help you help others. But instead of attending to that and focusing on that skill development, because that would make it more enjoyable, and then that would, again, just make it easier. Who needs that? So what we could do instead is focus on, grades. We could become really obsessed about grades, right? Which is kind of a representation of what we're learning, but maybe not exactly. I know as an instructor, I do my best to make sure that what I grade you on reflects your actual development in an area, but sometimes it's not perfect. So instead of focusing on your own skill development, focus on jumping through the hoops you need to jump through to get the grade you want to get. Because then that makes your work much less satisfying, much less interesting, and you experience yourself as usually kind of more passive as a learner. And so that I think is one way that you can approach this new situation to help achieve our goal. Oh yeah, also things like page limits. Focus on those too, that's really good. So,
I'm the ante of that by word count, in addition to the page limit.
Word count.
I just want to up that ante.
Yes, yes. Now, I want you to hear what I'm saying with this, because self-care would involve taking pride in your work, and some of that pride and desire to really pursue excellence does result in good grades. But it's helps us make us miserable when we become hyper-focused on it. It sort of becomes all we see, and becomes all we are sort of striving towards in a graduate school. That's where we're really getting to the point where we want to be. Okay, so were there any other questions for me or ideas about this that maybe some of you have? Okay. Okay, so far so good. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything, because different things are going to work for different people, and so I want to provide enough of a breadth here. Okay. Okay, you're like, yeah, I have one more thing. Your roles, everyone in this room, your role is shifting, it's changing in some way. So for some of you, you may be coming out of an undergraduate program, and so coming to graduate school is like a step up in terms of your independence, your self-directedness, it's like getting more grown up. I know for me, starting a master's program, it was very intimidating. I didn't know how to be a graduate student. It sounded very, older than what I was. And for some of you, coming to graduate school is just the opposite. You've been in your careers for a decade or two, and now you're coming and you've been a professional, you've had the respect, you've supervised a lot of other people, and now you're coming into the student role, where young whippersnappers like me are evaluating you. Young punks like me. And so that's a big adjustment too. I think those are both difficult, or they're opportunities for growth. That will push you to change the way you relate to others, and the way you see yourself in relation to others. You're also exposed to lots of new ideas. If you look around this room, see people from different states, different races, different primary languages, different religions, different political bends. And you'll be talking to these people in classes. I love to stir up debate and discussion in my classes. And the more debate, the more discussion, the more sort of shifting of perception, the better for me. Love that. But one way to kind of maintain or continue to be unhappy and miserable in graduate school is resist all that change. Try your hardest to stay the same. Okay? It just costs too much to change. It's too hard. Why bother? Right? Because after all, you are right. You were right to begin with. Right? So, I think I'll leave you with that. Again, my name is Rob Hawk, and if there's anybody, if you want to come talk to me, you have any questions about this, or other topics, I'm happy to talk about those things. And my office number is 555-6629, and I bill Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I'm open to taking clients. No, I'm just joking. So, one other thing I wanted to say that's totally unrelated, because everyone else was introducing their groups, is that I'm the faculty advisor for a group on campus. It's a pretty new group, and it's specifically for graduate students. It's called the Faith and Scholarship Society, and it's a group for graduate students and faculty who want to sort of talk about how you integrate your faith in your scholarship or your professional career, your professional life. Sometimes they feel like opposites. Sometimes they feel like you can't do one without the other. In this role for this presentation, I would encourage you not to come to the group and to set things like faith and values and all that stuff that defines you aside. Forget about all that. Try and deny that. But if you decide to go against my advice, you can check out that group. How am I doing on time?
Great.
Okay, great. So thanks everyone, I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the day.
I just want to say, praise Dr. Fox of Missouri, because he is one of us. He has small children, so when you're up really late at night, I would suggest you give him a call. About 3 a.m., is this a good time?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, I got about 3 kids under 5 here soon.
Yes, on the way, so, eat your go-to diet, very much, Rob. Shift the thing to, and Catherine was sitting for 8 hours straight. So we have, the director of the office that deals with disabilities and studenthood. And we have had someone else on the agenda who is not here, so instead we have the director of the office with us. Yes. So instead of taking a break, I would like us to be with her for a few minutes, then we'll take a break, okay? So please, thank you very, very much.
How y'all doing today? It's raining outside, so I may talk until it finishes raining, okay? Actually, I only put 3/4 in the meter, so I think it's like an hour and then I'm out of here. So it's nice to meet you all. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you for a few minutes. Most importantly, I want to have plenty of time to answer your questions. So let's just get to the most important things first, and then we'll move on. If you don't remember anything else from what I say today, I want you to remember this: 777-6142. And ask for Omar. You can ask for anybody in the office, but any of us can try to help you. We are here to serve as advocates for students with disabilities, but we also serve as consultants for faculty and staff. And so there's so many different things that can come up. There's not a cookie cutter approach. I can't say that for every person that has ADD, this is what we do. For every person that has, a health issue, this is what we do. Every situation is different. And it's really just best if we sit down and talk and try to figure out what's the best thing to do. Now, I've worked with College of Social Work for a number of years. Your new dean is wonderful. You're very fortunate to have her. And I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of your faculty and staff. Social work is actually now one of my favorite places to work and favorite groups of people to work with. And we have a lot in common in what we do. From what I understand and from what I've gained from working with groups, y'all have a tough course. You have a lot of hour demands, you have practicum, you have internships, you have all kinds of stuff going on. This is not an easy program to get through. And I think if I understand correctly, a lot of you are like working and going to school full time, and it's like, when do you have time for anything? So school can be very stressful. And what we want to do is try to help as best we can, because we know if you have a disability, and let me just define what a disability is. A lot of people, when we say disability services, they think of students who are deaf, students who are blind, and students who use wheelchairs, right? That's about maybe 20% of the 900 students we work with. The majority of students that we work with have learning disabilities and attention deficit disorder. And so students, by the time they get to a master's program, pretty much have learned some compensatory strategies. I feel like can I take this off?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. I feel like I'm tethered to the podium here. A lot of students have learned some compensatory strategies that have worked very well to get them to where they are today. But when you put people in a new environment, particularly an environment where it's like, oh, by the way, you have to make all B's, and we really kind of expect you to make all A's, and be successful in your personal life, and do all these other things, it can be very stressful. And there's some things that we can do to help with that stress, maybe extra time on a test. A lot of students use that. In graduate school, maybe not so much as undergraduates, but frequently. But it may be some other things. Some people take a reduced course load. Yes, it takes you longer to complete, and it makes it a little more difficult to choose classes because some things are prerequisites for other things. Some things are co-requisites. They have to happen at the same time. But those are things that we can do, that we can work with you to work out. Because we'd much rather you be successful over the course of 3 years than struggle over the course of 2 years. So there are some things we can do. So come and talk to us. There's some things sometimes that we can talk to faculty about as well. For example, a couple of years ago, there were a couple of students who were blind in the College of Social Work. We didn't have the technology back then that we have today, so providing materials in Braille, providing assistive technology like screen readers, like JAWS, we use Zentex, things like that, can make life a whole heck of a lot easier for students if they have low vision or have difficulty seeing. The same thing if you have a hearing impairment.
We have 4 students this year, they're all undergrads, I don't think any of them are in the College of Social Work, have lost their hearing within the past 2 years. And none of them are veterans. They are all students who have lost their hearing due to degenerative diseases or illness. Now, those students are going through some significant adjustments to having lost their hearing, and they don't know sign language. So providing an interpreter for them, you know, if I said, what's a reasonable accommodation for somebody who's deaf, how many of you would go, get an interpreter? That seems like the logical thing to do. That's not going to do them any good. So we've hired typists to go into the classrooms to provide, they just transcribe what their instructor is saying while it's taking place, and they can read it on an iPad. So sometimes it takes being creative. So don't just assume, if you're a student who has a disability, don't just assume that, oh, there's nothing they can do to help them. Because sometimes there's a lot that we can do. And I know that faculty want very much to be helpful, and they want very much to be supportive, but at the same time, as a student, you have to demonstrate the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you can do the same requirements. You may do them a little bit differently, but you can do the same requirements as everybody else. So it's good for us to have a conversation, maybe the faculty, us, and you, to talk about what in this class works, what in this class works. What we do in this class may be totally different from what we do in another class. So come and talk to us, and let's try to set things up so that you can be successful. I know a number of you are going to be going into the communities to do practicums, right? And there may be some accommodations that we need to work out for you in those practicum sites. The sooner we know that, the sooner we can put things in place, the better it's going to be. Here's what typically happens. And then we all just kind of get a little irritated. The student doesn't want to share that information, which we understand. So they wait until they're in trouble. They've missed several classes. They've missed some assignments. Maybe they've not shown up for a practicum one day. And now everybody's like very frustrated. And then the student goes, but I have a disability. The first thing you get is the lecture from me that says, if you had done this ahead of time, we could have put some things in place. After we get over that and I feel better, then we can talk about how are we going to fix this. So first of all, you want to avoid the lecture from me on, you know, how did we get to this situation. Let's just go straight to how can we make this work. It works better. We'll work with you, but sometimes we can't undo a bad grade. And that's what a lot of people want. They're like, well, I took this test and I didn't do well because I have a disability and I didn't have extra time. And I'm like, gosh, I am really sorry. For your next test, here's what we can do. But we can't go back and erase that grade. We can't go back and undo what was done in the past. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. You're better off coming over and kind of setting things up ahead of time than trying to undo something. A lot of times we can't undo it, okay? I'm trying to think, what else do you all need to know? So rather than me trying to guess, why don't you tell me, what are some questions you all have about getting registered, about disabilities, anything that I can help you out with? Sure.
With bringing, I know there's like documentation and things that you need, and like you had an undergrad, how long ago can it have been, or does it really need to be done? You get what I'm saying?
Right. I understand exactly what you're saying. Let me just say this for all of you. You're going to need to know this in whatever work you do, because I suspect that most of you will work with people who have disabilities along the way. 2 years ago, there was an amendment to the ADA, and we were real creative. We called it the ADA-AA. Go figure. What the new ADA said is we've gotten to the point where we have become so restrictive in who has a disability and what the appropriate accommodations are, that there were times that people who had cerebral palsy or who had spinal cord injuries, but if they had an electric wheelchair, we might say, well, you don't have a disability, you can get around just fine. That was not the intent of the law. And so with this amendment, Congress made it much easier for students to get registered nationwide, and basically what they said was, it's important to listen to the student and listen to their experiences. So in the past, where there was this whole 3-year reevaluation thing that actually came out of public schools, that's not appropriate anymore. Just send us what you have, tell us what accommodations you need, and then if we need more documentation, we'll let you know. I would say most of the time we don't. If it's something like a mental health issue, severe depression, not, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend last week, but, you know, a severe depression, we might need something more recent. But for learning disabilities, attention deficit disorder, the 3-year rule does not apply anymore. So just send us, come by and talk to us, and we'll go from there. But I would say for most people, what you have now is probably going to be sufficient for what you're looking for. Other questions that you all have? Thank you, that's a good question. We're in the math building. Go figure. You know, I don't even balance my checkbook. But we're in LeConte, just kind of across the road here a little bit. And we're on the first floor of LeConte. We're there 8:30 to 5, Mondays through Fridays. We can on occasion meet later in the evenings. We try not to do weekends because we all have a life. But occasionally, I know some of the social work programs, there are people that are like in Greenville or maybe in other places. We can do things by Skype. We can do things by telephone. We don't want you to feel like you have to come to Columbia campus to meet with us. So we can do that as well. I'm trying to think. Other things that have come up. Have you all got any things that you want me to specifically address?
Only to encourage students to come early in the semester rather than later.
Yes.
And they have any issues that it might be helpful and appropriate.
Yes, please do. Because a lot of times you don't think about something that might, you know, we might go, oh, let's talk about this, let's put some things in place, particularly with attendance. That's become a real hot topic nationwide because people will bring to us letters from their doctor that says this person has this health condition and may not be able to go to class. Well, if you're in a class that's straight lecture and there's 2 tests and a final or 2 tests and a paper, that may be okay. But if you're in a class where they're doing group work, or as part of your class you're going out somewhere, we can't recreate those learning experiences for you, so attendance may become an issue. So let's sit down and talk about it earlier and what are the appropriate things to do, and you know, to kind of give you an idea what's an appropriate reason to not be here, like being in the hospital, versus, you know, like I have a flat tire. You know, that's not a disability issue, so that's not, I can't help you with that. I can give you the number for AAA, but you know, that's about the best I can do for you. And so, you know, it's important that we have these conversations up front so that you know what to expect. We know what to expect, and we know how to deal with those situations when they come up. I would say last spring alone in our office, not just social work, I'm talking campus-wide now, we worked with over 100 students who had significant mental health issues that cropped up in the middle of the semester. Some of them we were able to do incompletes and they could finish the work later. Others we were able to work out withdrawals so they at least didn't have an F on their transcript and they could start the class over, you know, and we could get them connected to the counseling center. Sometimes the counseling center sent them to us. But there are things we can do. Just don't be afraid to come and ask, okay? I would rather sit down and have a conversation and get you connected. There's community resources out there. There are all kinds of things that we can help you with. Just don't be afraid to come. Yes?
Do you need to make an appointment? Or
You can stop by and we can have a very general conversation, or you can call us. The best thing to do, if you go to our website, if you just search for disability services, we're there. There's an application to fill out, and that's mostly so we know how to contact you and we know what kind of accommodations you're looking for. You can attach a copy of your documentation to that. It's not an email. You're filling out this application on a secure server. It's the same as, you know, going to Amazon. It's secure, as secure as you can get, I guess, on the internet. So your information is not floating around out there in cyberspace. And then we'll look at your documentation, we'll look at what you're asking for, and we'll contact contact you and say, come on in, or we'll need more documentation, but here's what we need. Then we can set up an appointment and sit down and talk, but we can talk to you anytime. And particularly because, again, we know that your all schedules are kind of crazy. You know, if you let us know you're a social work student, we can kind of work around your schedule and those kinds of things. I'm trying to think what other things have come up. Yes?
If we fail to have
We work with about 3 counselors in town. Most of them have connections. They were either employees who have retired or they've done their graduate work here, who agreed to do the testing at a reduced cost for students. So if you will be happy to share those names with you, and you know, a lot of times they'll call us and say, hey, what do you need specifically? And we can work from that angle as well to try to keep the cost down. We could probably find somebody. Give me a buzz and we'll see what we can do. Yes. 777-6142. And callers are standing by now. We have graduate students that can help. Sometimes they can field some questions, and we'll get back to you just as quickly as we can. Right now it's a busy time of year because all the freshmen waited until they came to campus, and things are just crazy. But we'll work with you as best we can. Trying to think of anything else. Do you guys do more papers than tests? Do you write more papers than you do tests? You don't know yet? I would say probably tests. With papers, you know. And you know there's a writing center on campus that can help you all with those kinds of things. There are a lot of resources out there. We work closely with them to make sure, you know, to help you out as well. That's all I have, unless you all. Do I know the hours for the writing center? Okay, good. And if there's anything else, just call us. Thank you so much.
that make people, aware that they might have some kind of learning disabilities. If you have any inkling of that, please go. This office is fantastic. You can see how nice our office is. And it's a really great investment of your time. And it will help you and help us. Okay? So, let's take a quick break. Come back and in about 10 or so. For those of you who walked in late and didn't hear me, look for your name in the advising list. And then sign up for an advising We're going to do a little switching here in the order. And Dr. Nancy Brown is the chair of technology committee and also Zarina and Queen is going to talk to you first. She will answer all those questions that I can, and probably very few other than herself. So, Nancy, why don't you take it away? This is like amazing. I'm at the head of the morning. This has never happened. Make good use of it. I do, really.
Anyway, people refer to me as the lovely and talented Nancy K. Brown, psychotherapist. I'm the director of physical education here for college. We have this kind of complicated structure throughout the the university. We have people that are going to support you with your day-to-day technology things. And I think Dave will talk about this, but University Technology Services has a help desk, and when you have a computer problem, they are the people that, like, particularly because things happen on weekends, or you're in the middle of a test, and your computer blows up, and catches fire, and, who you call, other than Ghostbusters. You'll call the help desk, which is 777-1800. Okay, and I'm sure that Dave's going to go over this, so I'm not going to belabor it, but particularly in off hours, if it has anything to do with Blackboard, if you are on campus and you're having trouble connecting, they are very, very helpful. My role is to support faculty, for the most part, in their endeavor to put quality courses into an online format. My courses, a lot of people are freaked out about my 758 course, but you will get an email tonight, I promise. There are different ways in which faculty do distance education. There is something that we call a hybrid course, and I do that in my advanced practice class. What I do in my advanced practice class is I send you up front a URL where you watch a video that teaches you about the model of practice. What I want to see in the classroom is practice. Okay? So you come to the classroom already prepared because you've done this outside of class. We engage in a practice, role plays and things like that, and we go back and forth, and it's all about practice, and shaping your practice and improving your practice. But you have to come prepared. Somebody says, this is the URL, I want you to watch this, you really should watch it. You have an obligation as a student in whatever format that you're learning, whether it's video or video lecture or in the classroom, to do what is expected of you. And one of the things that I know about graduate education is that in a lot of ways it's easy to kind of skirt around things because, we don't give you quizzes. Some people give you quizzes on readings, but mostly we don't, and it's your responsibility. Someday somebody who is suicidal is going to be in front of your desk and you're going to say, I forgot to read that. I don't know what to do. Hopefully not, but it's important. And we're trying to give you, we understand clearly that students have different ways of learning, that there are multiple ways in which students approach information. Choose the professors that you work with according to what your style is. If you don't do well in an online format where you're maybe to some extent working a little bit more independently, get in a classroom. Get with somebody who is doing the classroom. We have some excellent educators who are doing really remarkable things in the classroom. There are different ways. When we talk about a distance ed class, some of the classes require that you work in groups. In the summer, I taught military mental health and the impact of trauma. Did anybody take that this summer? Yeah. Some people took the 758 class, but we did groups. And so the groups go up on Blackboard, people were able to chat, they were able to interact, and it worked really well. For other different kinds of classes, it's important that people meet face-to-face. And so some of the classes require that you come to Columbia, meet your fellow students, which I also think is not a bad thing, because you get socialized into your cohort. These people sitting in the room in front of you are your cohort. These are going to be, for the most part, the people that you're going to be practicing with for the next 30 years. If you're in South Carolina, and maybe you'll continue to have relationships with for the rest of your life. And so this is your group. These are your peers. So coming and meeting them and interacting and being social is a good thing. So some of the classes where there's a high need for interaction, usually you come to Columbia 2 times. The faculty, it is up to the discretion of the faculty to decide whether you can view live or whether you can view a recording. So you have to talk to your individual faculty about that. We do not have a university or a college policy on that. My class in substance abuse is a heavy content class. You're learning a lot of facts about substance abuse. And I don't care if you watch it later. That's just me. Okay? okay? But that's my prerogative as a faculty member. That's what I choose to do. That doesn't mean that the person next to me needs to do that. So it's very much up to your individual professor how that's going to be handled. Okay, so the other thing about distance ed, and I won't belabor this too much, just check your email. See this look? This is a look of a professor who has been, did you check your email? Well, no, I don't check my university email. You have to check your university email. You have to go on Blackboard. If you have a Blackboard problem, you have to let your professor know. And if they can't figure out what it is, then they're gonna say call the help desk or call our technology people here who will try to help you. But you have to check your email. You have to kind of stay in communication with the college and the people and the professor and all that kind of good stuff. There's also a way, if you look in Blackboard, of forwarding, because if you're like one that you don't remember to check 2 email accounts, and I'm one of those people, then you can forward the university email to your personal Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, Wahoo, Dibbly-doo, whatever account you have, and then you only have to check one and everything will come through. You can yourself send email through Blackboard, like if you're in a group or something, you can do those kinds of things. And so how the distance ed class functions is the prerogative of the professor. That using Blackboard is really critical to your success. Reading your email is critical to your success. And other than that, some of you in your first year, and I know there's some part-time students as well. A lot of you are already in distance ed classes, and you're coming to Columbia, working in groups. But then, you're going to be independent. You have to make sure that you have secure, when I say secure, I mean solid internet. If you have dial-up, it's probably not going to be that good. But you can go to the library, you can come to our computer lab, any university, you can take a set of headphones, you can take your iPad headphones, your iPod, plug them in, and that's going to work for you. And because you don't have to talk back, usually there's a chat box. What I do for my class when they did presentations is they uploaded their PowerPoint, but they called in on telephone and I put it on speakerphone, which allowed everybody all over the state to hear what they were saying. So there's lots of ways of doing this that works very well. And when you use an Adobe class, you see me moving around. You see my face and cringing when we taught in the summer in the midst of all these thunderstorms and lightning kept going off. I think it's okay, I'm still here. But sometimes it knocks out the internet and you deal with all that stuff. But patience, and understanding that if something goes wrong, there are people that will help you fix it. There are people that care about your success. Many of you will go through this program and not take a distance ed class, and that's fine. Again, each learner is a different kind of learner. So, play to your strengths. Anybody have any questions? Other than about my 758 class, for which I have to send an email out today? Yes.
Did you say one more time the number to call?
It's 777-1800. And I'm guessing that Dave will cover that. Dave, are you covering the help desk?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave is our information guy. He's got a ton of stuff to present to you. And this is how, what happens to me is I learn this stuff, you go and you learn Blackboard, and you go to a training on Blackboard, and then you leave the room, and all that knowledge stays in the room. So you get back to your office and go, what happened? Where did it all go? I don't remember. So it's in doing things over and over and over again that it gets easier. And asking somebody. So, okay? Any other questions? Yeah. No, you have to go through the USC, the Columbia portal. Dave will probably cover that. You covering usernames and passwords?
Yeah.
Okay. Because usually you can find them in VIP. Okay, and then you can change yours, but I don't think it's going to connect with your AIM account. Did you say AIM? Yeah, I don't think it will do that. You'll get a new user, maybe the same username, but you're coming through the Columbia portal, so the password will change and all that kind of good stuff. Any other questions before I turn it over? Yeah. Okay, Dave, you gonna cover math?
Yeah.
See? For Adobe Connect, for like watching class, it's not a problem. It becomes a problem when you need Flash, because Macs don't have Flash. And so there's certain videos that you might not be able to watch and things like that. But Dave he'll handle that. He's the tech guy. Also, in terms of producing stuff, we have a professor who's going to be teaching one of the policy classes, and she can't teach it off her Mac because Adobe Connect won't work with her Mac, so she needs a Windows platform. Okay? Dave, the really smart guy who knows things, will tell you all the information that you ever wanted to know.
Thanks for that introduction. I'm just going to go over this list that we have, kind of just straight down the list, and then we'll do like questions and everything, just to let you guys know what kind of stuff we have to offer, how to do things generally. I'm going to first talk about UTS. University Technology Services. They're going to provide you guys most of your support. They'll they're going to provide you support for your desktops, your user accounts, probably about 90% of the stuff that you'll encounter. You're going to call UTS, and like Nancy mentioned, that number is 777-1800. Every student, I think at USC, probably has that number memorized after a while. And it's located down on Blossom Street. All this information is on our website. This whole page, I'm actually reading this off our website. And you can go to MSW, and there's an article called Technology Orientation that has all this info in it. What they're going to do, like I said, they can provide you with desktop computers, discounted desktop computers. They're a reseller for Dell products as well as a bunch of different products. They also offer software at greatly reduced rates. You can actually buy software through VIP, or you can go over to UTS and buy software from the software distribution center there. They also will work on your computers. Now, they typically have a pretty big waiting time there, but you can actually take your desktop machines over to UTS, and they'll work on Macs and PCs. You probably want to call over though, because they have a pretty big line for that. And like I said, they also you can create tickets online with UTS. So if you have some kind of issue, you call in or email them, and they'll create a ticket and give you all kinds of support on all these different kinds of platforms. The next thing I'm going to go to is VIP. And I don't know, has everybody signed into VIP already? Everybody in here probably? Okay, two things. This is typically kind of confusing for most students. There's two accounts that you'll use here at USC. Your VIP account, that's going to handle like all of your personal information, all of your class information. And if you're an employee, all your information will be in there. And you can also control your second account, which is your UFC network user ID and password. You can reset the password from VIP to get into that account. But the VIP account it's kind of like it's like your main account. It actually controls the other one. And you can go in there anytime and reset your password. So if you forgot them, you just log right into VIP and reset your USC user ID and password. Now your VIP user ID will just be for VIP. It won't really get you into anything else but VIP. Your USC password will get you into all kinds of resources. Library resources here at College Social Work, logging into all the machines at the library, the machines here at Social Work, as well as any place on campus. So your USC user ID is really important. It lets you log into websites, Blackboard, all kinds of stuff. So there's really only two, VIP and your USC user ID and password. The next little portion in here is the student email and listserv. We do have an MSW listserv. All of you guys are in it currently. When the school roles are validated, you'll automatically become a member of that. So you'll just start receiving emails from the listserv. You can email the listserv. I don't know, does everybody know what a listserv is? Okay. A listserv is just it's an email account. It's like a group email account. You can send an email to a listserv, and it'll send it out to everybody. And they can all respond to that post as well. So everybody in here can send an email to the MS. I don't have it up. You'll get that as well, but and this is on the website. So you send an email to this account, and it'll send it out to everybody that's here. So you can collaborate or have events or whatever. And there's a lot of information in there about MSW process, and you can ask questions to each other and all kinds of stuff. So, like I said, you'll be automatically enrolled in that in a couple of weeks. And like I said, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. You can also opt out of it. You can unsubscribe to that if you're getting too much or you just don't like it. We like to encourage everybody to participate, but if it's too much, you can opt out of that. Although you will be joined again the next semester. Student email, I want to talk about that a little bit. As Nancy mentioned, you want to use a student email for any kind of official correspondence that you have. So if you got an email, a faculty member or a staff member or anybody else for that matter, anybody at USC, you want to use that USC account. Because typically, the USC policy is to just, unless it's just general information, just disregard those. When I get emails from, because it's really hard to validate a person, if I get an email from so-and-so at Gmail, I don't even know who you are. And typically the questions that we get are their personal information for that user. So we typically, like a lot of times in the past, I used to send an email, use your USC account. I don't even do that now because you get so many of them. And if you use your USC account, we know exactly who you are based on your user ID. So try to use it when you're corresponding. I know that, like Nancy mentioned, it's kind of difficult to have two accounts. You can set it up to 4. I suggest maybe using that a lot, though. I mean, it is, if you go out, when you guys all go out to your organization, you're going to be forced to use email addresses at those orgs. So it's probably a good idea to make a change. I typically have like my own personal email account and my USC one for all my business and everything. So I'd suggest doing the same thing because it complicates a lot of steps in providing service. Let's see, Blackboard. Did you guys, a lot of people have Blackboard at their previous universities, probably a lot of people here. Anyway, it's a classroom learning system that basically you'll be enrolled in, and for every one of your classes, you'll automatically be enrolled in a Blackboard group. The Blackboard group is class. It'll allow you to collaborate, to store documents, to take tests, to do all kinds of stuff with your class. Now, different professors participate at different levels of Blackboard. Some don't use it at all. Most do. But you'll get more info from your professor about that. But it's like Facebook for classes. Lets you collaborate, lets you do all kinds of stuff, and post all kinds of good stuff. It also puts your contact info, and that stuff's private to just your class. So. And your Blackboard account is your USC user ID and password. A lot of people call it a Blackboard account. It's just one USC user ID and password for everything. Adobe Connect, Nancy mentioned that as well. These are resources that you may or may not use based on some of the processes that's taking place.
There's a question over here.
Okay.
I just have a question about Blackboard because I've been using it, trying to figure out how it works and everything. Is the orientation that you stated that they provide, does that include instruction on how to use that Blackboard?
They actually have, it's actually over right now, but they actually have a class called BEST class, and it's a Blackboard introduction class. But I think UTS does a Blackboard introduction class that they offer. If you go to their website, you can look up those classes. Also, there's, I can probably provide you with some tutorials, just some basic tutorials on the usage of Blackboard.
Well, I mean, and my reasoning is because I'm looking at different, like you said, different instructors have different levels. So there's all these different tabs, and I'm afraid I'm going to miss some key information out there.
Yeah. And that's a valid point because, like I said, your tests are going to be on Blackboard. These are some resources you're going to have to hit a lot. Like I said, your faculty member for your classes will tell you how much they can participate in Blackboard, whether they do the whole class, they'll let you know. But if they do use the class, I mean, there's going to be announcements going through Blackboard. There's going to be all kinds of info. So,
well, and a lot of us are distance learning, so that's probably going to be our primary resource of getting all our information. But some, if I notice, like some will have content, some don't have content, some have different postings, in their all these different tabs. So if there is a tutorial, that would be awesome.
I'll put one on the website.
Okay.
Maybe at the bottom, I'll link to it at the bottom of this article. So let's just talk. I'm going to go to general questions in a minute because I know everybody's got a ton of them. But let me just talk about some of the resources we'll go back to. Adobe Connect. That's a piece of software that will let you host meetings or present video presentations. You may not use that. Some students don't. It's just kind of give you resources. So you can do like a Skype session and a video record. You can save that to publish to other people. So it's kind of a nice resource for some students, depending on what research you're doing. Yeah, it's free. Yeah. Adobe Connect. And it'll let you do, meetings with very large groups if you need to be. But you can chat in it. It'll show multiple users, images. So it's a nice little tool. We probably have about 15% of students that use it. But, it's a nice free resource. The next section is social networking. We've got a Facebook page and a Twitter account. And I'd probably encourage everybody to be a fan or follow us. The links are on our website. You can get all kind of information there as well from students. And you can also, if you want to, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, we're always looking for people that like to collaborate. We have some designated people that post on these accounts, and but we're always looking for more. So if you're interested in participating in Facebook or Twitter accounts, then just let me know, and I'll provide all my contact info. The next section is the student lab. We've got an MSW student lab. How How many guys, raise your hands, have been over there yet to the student lab? It's located in Thornville, which is right across from District School, which is the main building. And it's about a 21-seat computer lab that's available for you guys to do whatever you need. It's got scanners in there. I think you can get used to the copier from time to time. There's printers, high output printers over there, projectors. You can reserve that class, that lab if you need to. So you can just about, you can do anything over there. And we do have hours. They're posted on the website as well, depending on our GAs. We have about 13 GAs, and we try to keep it open as much as we can. It's available on the weekends too. But we don't have the hours ironed out yet. Those will be online the next couple of weeks as well. Let's see. We talked about a little bit about hardware and software. There's some links at the bottom of this that will direct you to UTS on purchasing computers at discounted rates and software. Somebody mentioned it earlier, the Office Suite, which I think everybody uses. There's some highly discounted rates from UTS, like $10, I think, for the whole suite, somewhere around here, 10 or 20 bucks. So I'd suggest definitely going to UTS and buying a copy of that if you don't have one already. And there's all kinds of statistical software, there's all kinds of software that you can buy at really low rates from them as well. Wireless networking. So we've got wireless access points all over the campus. And as you probably saw when we were trying to get online here, it requires that you install like a little piece of software that checks your computer out, and then you sign into the thing with your USC user ID and password. And it's basically anywhere. You use the same, like I mentioned, that USC user ID and password. Use it to log into all the stuff, and you can do it. It's basically available all over campus. There's of course some spots in some buildings that aren't covered, but it's very minimal. So you can use the USC user ID wireless network anywhere on campus. And you can connect with Macs or phones, PCs, whatever, it'll all connect. And if you have any issues with that, call UTS. Let's see, there is, and they also offer AT&T services through UTS that are reduced. So you get a discount if you have AT&T services. I think it's about 15%, something like that. Let's see. Oh, access to the library. Might have saw yesterday Arlene Andrews was looking up journals. And I had a question yesterday about accessing those journals from anywhere. And they just redid that website this year. You can access those journals anywhere. Just like any other resource on the web, you just go to the library homepage, and there's an articles link, and you can log in. I think it asks for your last four of Social Security and your first name or something like that. But just enter that information, and you have access to all those journals. That's a pretty good deal. They're all cost journals and really good resources. But you can access that from anywhere in the world, really. Let's see. The USC website, our COSW website. I think we've got a pretty good website, and we'd like to keep it updated. And so, like I mentioned before, with those Twitter and Facebook accounts, if you have any kind of information that you want to provide to others, your peers, or anybody else that's pertinent to social work, just email me, and I can give you access to different parts of the website. We can use it. You can also use forms. We create forms if you're gathering information. So there's all kinds of online resources that we can provide you as far as web publishing, data collection, all kinds of stuff. So just get in touch with me if you got anything like that. There's a section here about computer lab etiquette, which we always run into issues with this. So no cell phone usage in the lab. You can get on the internet and check your mail and stuff, but no phone calls, and no drinks or food in the lab. And so we've had some incidents in the past, so it's pretty strict rules on that. And I think that's about it as far as just introduction. It's a lot of stuff. There's way too much for you guys to know right now with all this stuff in your classes. But those are just the main things that you got to remember. You can look up all the other stuff. Just remember your VIP user ID and password. I'd suggest if you haven't logged in there, go log in. You'll do that all the time. Your USC user ID and password. Remember that. You'll use it all the time. And that's really, those two things will get you in all the resources. You can find information, detailed information on all this other stuff I'm talking about. I just want to kind of skim it, but all the detailed stuff you can look up, or you can email us. So, okay, so let's go ahead and start questions. Okay, go ahead. Back. Oh, okay. All right.
Mine is kind of simple. There's more than one option with their wireless. And I tried the Zoom one and the other one, and I'm using my USC login and password in the work.
What kind of platform is it? A phone?
I tried my phone and my touchpad.
Okay, and that sounds like a user ID and password error. Have you I think a way to check that is this is a typical, easy way that we check that. If you have issues logging into anything, I always recommend people go to Outlook Web, which is the web interface for your email account. I don't think it's on this document, but I'll put it on this document. There's a link to it. It's also in your VIP. There's an email link. Try to log into that first. If you can log into that, then you know you don't have a user ID and password problem.
I can log on my own.
Okay.
I just keep it on Wi-Fi.
All right. And there's Wi-Fi here is typically it's problematic. They just put in a system a couple years ago, and we have issues with it all the time. As you guys saw, we had some today. Those kind of things you have to call UTS, and they'll troubleshoot your devices individually. But that's really all you can do as a user is to make sure you're using the right credentials. And that's about it. It does typically work better with PCs, just because they're around, and the guys that implemented the system use PCs. So that's one thing. But I use Apple all the time, iPhones and iPads. So usually it will be online, but sometimes you do encounter some problems. It's called UTS and okay.
I work at Isaac, so I have a separate single email like that. When I walk into the VIP student, though, I noticed my directory information is still my work is there. If I change that to student one, is it going to change the one I work on as well?
No. That's a good question. She was asking about dual accounts in VIP. I have one as well. I went to grad school here, so I always forget that account. When you log in, some of you may encounter this if you become GAs or if you're employed by the university. If you notice when you log in, if you're going to it the first time, there's a faculty, staff, and a student login. Just remember that you have both. We have that happen a lot. They're separate accounts, so if you change info on one, you won't change on the other. Most of you guys won't hit that, but if you are a GA or if you get paid by the university at some level, you will have a staff link as well.
Dave, someone's had a hand up over here in the back.
Go ahead. And we can basically get to however many people you guys want to get to. Go
You
ahead.
mentioned that the lab has printing, and how does printing work on campus? Is it paid printing or?
Yeah, printing on campus, I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think it's 10 cents at the library. So it's 10 cents a page. Typically, it's 10 to 15 cents per page, just about anywhere you go on campus. Our lab actually charges, I think we charge 7 cents. You have to, that's a good question as well. in the lab, you're going to have money on your Carolina card to be able to print in there. When you start printing, it actually asks you to enter in your credentials, and you enter that information, and then it'll let you print, and it'll take it off of your card. If you don't have any money in there, you can't print it all in the lab.
In the career center, you don't have to pay to print. I mean, you're really only supposed to print like career-related stuff, like resumes and stuff. But I mean, they'll let you print like some stuff for schools. You can't print like a 10-page PDF or something like that. But you can go in there and print.
Okay.
Yes.
Right here.
Is that
No.
What's the question? What you can
Is Adobe Connect what you use for online distance classes? No, it's actually, Adobe Connect is just a resource. It augments distance learning. So it's basically just a place where you can go meet and you can chat if you have, sometimes you might be required in classes to go to Adobe Connect and sign in. But your classes will be handled all through Blackboard. All your distance ed classes will be handled in Blackboard. Okay, in the back.
Yes, hi. I have two questions, or two concerns actually, and I'll be brief. One is that I cannot set up my Outlook for my student email on my PC. However, I was successful in setting it up on my iPad. And so my question to that respect is, when I call the technology office, can they help me troubleshoot this issue over the phone, or do I have to bring my computer?
No, they can do it on, you guys bring up some good questions. Yeah, definitely, they can help you through all your steps to get basically anything working that you're going to use that's involved with the university. Sometimes you'll have limited success with UTS because they handle a lot of people. And if you do, I always strongly encourage you to go to UTS first. But if you have issues where they drop the ball or they don't seem to be helping much, or you can come to us as well. And we're located right beside the lab. Now that being said, go to them first because we're busy as well. But I always like to help you guys out, and so if you've gone to them and they're really slow or they're just not providing you good service, you can come to us.
UTS?
Yeah, UTS.
UTS, what is the acronym for that?
University Technology Services.
Okay.
They officially handle all you guys. I mean, all your email stuff, we help you out if you have issues, but I don't have control of any of those systems.
Okay, and also the second question is, can you expand a little bit more about transferring the Outlook to a personal account?
Oh, yeah, forward. Yeah.
Forwarding. I would like to do that. Could you expand?
I don't want to get into details. I'll put something, like I said, I'll put something on that document. You can go to the website and check that out. It'll have details on how to do that. You can send me an email too, and I'll send you a link on all the details on how to transfer, how to forward your Outlook account. It's just a few steps. Yeah, there is a link actually. So, I don't know if it's on that document. Yeah. And that's got little screenshots of that. Okay.
Do you have to pay, like, to get your computer fixed, like, do you think there's like a virus or something?
Yeah. Do you have to pay to get your computer fixed at UTS? No, you don't. Now, like I said, they're pretty busy, so sometimes it's hard to get in there, but they'll work on your computer for free. Now, if it needs some kind of hardware, something's gone, the network card's gone bad or whatever, you're going to have to buy that stuff. But they'll work on your computer for free.
Did I hear you say you had to download some software so you can get on Wi-Fi on campus?
Yeah, on some devices. They leave them open like on my cell phone. I didn't have to, you don't have to install anything. On PCs and Macintosh laptops, you have to install a little piece of software that basically checks your computer out and make sure you don't have viruses, that kind of stuff. But your iPhone or Android devices, you won't have to install any software. tablets, I don't think, is it an Apple?
No.
Yeah, it's a Droid one. Yeah, you shouldn't have to install it.
So it's more on
USD Student. And if you have, if you got some, like I said, most of the time these things we can get online, no problem. But as you've seen, there's been like issues today and yesterday about joining the wireless network. If you got any kind of, if you tried your basic steps, contact UTS and they'll guide you through. It's their kind of responsibility to guide you through.
With the printing, is there already, like, from our newspaper that's setting out that there is for printing, or do you have to add it to it? Like, I know some places will have setting out and you can add more.
Yeah. So she's asking about printing in the MSW lab as far as the cost. Yeah, I don't think, it's handled just like any other Caroline card. There's no money in it at all unless you put some in there. And you can put, whatever amount you want to deposit into it, but it acts just like any other, like if you're buying something out of Russell House.
I'm not sure if I'm the only one having this issue, but it's always hard for me to log into my email and to Blackboard. I think it took about 6 attempts for Blackboard when you be able to log in. Is this a problem with being a new student on campus or something wrong with me?
Okay, she's asking about logging into to Blackboard and email. I don't know, there are problems that happen with individual user IDs, but it's pretty rare. You'd be amazed how right computers are typically. I thought, different times in my life, I thought, having all kinds of issues. It typically is an issue with the user. It really is. It's amazing how many times, even sometimes when you get descriptions of crazy things computers are doing, when you get down to the bottom line, they typically are right. Even it happens to me all the time. I do stuff. So I would bet, I don't know that for sure, if you continue having problems, we can check out your account. But, most likely it's
When entering information on Blackboard, you just put like your username, for instance, who you are.
Yeah.
And not the email address, right?
Yeah, not the email
So,
address.
yeah. Maybe the email.
And there are some different platforms, resources, systems on campus that do require email addresses, the whole email address. Mine that I run, I typically just use user IDs or I specify it, but there's all kinds of systems across campus that are controlled by different people. And it still is your USC user ID and password, but you may want to use email. Oh. All right.
I'm trying to read the information up there. To contact you, is there any reason we need to contact you, or should we just contact the UTS?
Well, yeah, in almost every, like I mentioned, in almost all of these things, you'll contact UTS. So if you have any kind of Blackboard issue, logging in issue, wireless issue, it's all UTS. But like I said, if they don't provide you support, then you come to us and we'll have any other problem.
Do you have your contact information somewhere?
Yeah, it's on this page, it's on the website as well. Oh, it is 1244 Blossom.
And how large is the radius for the Wi-Fi?
It's all over campus. And there's actually, I think there's a map. No, not all campus. It might go 50 feet all campus. Almost all the dorms are covered as well. Pretty much the whole campus. There is a map. They just started implementing this and campus-wide, but pretty much all across campus you can get to a Wi-Fi connection. All right, anybody else? Yeah, webmail, SC. And if you go to the SC, the Succon main page, and you just type in iPhone, there's actually a pretty good instruction set, and it's the same info for employees, so you get all the info.
You said that orientation is no longer on the website.
The Blackboard orientation, or this? Yeah, this is online. I'm actually reading this off of our site right now. This is online, and the Blackboard orientation, they have a big Blackboard orientation every semester. It's typically mostly for faculty, staff, but students can attend that as well. But UTS offers classes. You have to check their schedule and everything. That's actually another good question. UTS offers all kinds of classes, like general computing. These are all free, and they're like 2 or 3 hour classes you can attend. So just go to their website and check out some of their classes. You may not have much knowledge about certain things. They do like a Adobe Connect class. So they have all kinds of classes that are all free to take advantage of. Yeah. Well, if you're staff, because I know there's a lot of people that are both, students and staff. If you're staff or faculty, if you're adjunct or whatever, we provide you all the support. So, yeah, and now if you're going as a student role, like if you got some problem with Blackboard, then student issues are covered from UTS. But like I said, that's a blanket statement, but like I mentioned before, we can help you out if you have any issues that they can't resolve. Because that happens sometimes, They get a lot of trouble. Yeah, we don't. Now, personal computer is just, if you're not a student, we don't work on faculty or staff personal computers. Oh, okay. All right. Anybody else?
What about this online
It's at the bottom of that document. The question was, I'm sorry, where can you find a link to discounted software and hardware? And it's actually at the bottom of this document. There's links, and that's over at UTS. You can actually call them as well, and they'll give you all that information. And a lot of Apple products are really doing a good job at working with universities. So there's a lot of resources. I'll talk about that for a minute too. There's one thing you have to be kind of aware of, not so much in email products, but like storage products. You guys might not have heard much about this, but if you have free storage like Google Docs, or there's another, what's the big Apple? No, it's Dropbox. So just be aware, I use all those products as well, but in an academic environment, just be aware that that storage is not free. It may not cost you anything, but people are paying for it in advertisements, and they're also data mining all your documents. So anything basically put on Google Docs or any kind of free storage, Dropbox, anything at all really. They're data mining that information. So if you have some kind of, maybe your dissertation or something of real importance, just kind of keep that in mind, because that information belongs to those entities. It's a free account. You go store some stuff in Dropbox and it appears in a newspaper. A week later, it's their stuff. So just be aware of that. And we have storage here all night. You guys are bringing me around more stuff. We actually offer storage for all of you guys on our servers. A lot of students don't take advantage of that. And I was a student as well. I probably wouldn't have taken advantage of that either. But we offer it. It's free storage. I'm not going to say it's unlimited, but depending on what you're doing, we can give you free temporary storage, just like somebody does, gigs of storage space to store USC related, documents. But, and you can just request that through me. But all of you guys will have a home directory if you request one, and you can put documents on it. So a home directory, actually, you can have access, if you go across campus, you can store stuff on this server and then come back to Deshisher and retrieve it just anywhere. You can actually access that stuff off campus as well. Yeah. We don't automatically create storage space for everybody, but like I said, if you want some and need some, and you're not putting music or you've got some real USC related info that you want to store. Like I say, you have no other options. You want to pay for Dropbox or whatever, Google. You don't want to pay those services because when you pay those people, those documents are yours. So if you are using, I'm not saying Google Docs or Dropbox or any other service is not really good, but just be aware that if you've got a free account, they're doing all kinds of stuff with your data. And we'll offer, we can offer you space to store. All right, anybody else? Yeah, there's not one. They do have like a little Apple Center there, and they have. Oh, the question was she was asking about Apple products and Apple Store around here. They said UTS has a little Apple Center, and they do have some items on display. You can buy things from them, but the only Apple Store around is Augusta. Charlotte, Augusta. Same brand. None of them. She was asking about signing on to Wi-Fi and asked if the credentials were the same. The Wi-Fi credentials will be your user ID, your USC user ID. All right, anybody else? Like the registrar calendar? Yeah. I don't know exactly. Yeah, if you just go to sc.edu and search for registrar calendar, it should pop right up.
What if you go to the USC homepage right here?
Yeah, in the search area. Yeah.
I'm trying to sign on to my school email on my phone, but I've already got a Hotmail and a Gmail account on my phone, and it won't, for some reason, it's not verifying that that's even real. I was told that y'all can help with that, and walk me through and fix that problem.
Well, that's another one, guys. That's a UTS issue. They can guide you through it now. If they can't help you, or they're being really slow, I can definitely help you out. But go through them first. And you should be able to add, there's limits on different software packages, but you can typically add multiple accounts on just about any kind of platform nowadays. Anybody else? All right. Okay, guys. Well, my contact info is on the web. We can field questions. Just remember those key things I told you guys will be fine. I know you got a ton of information coming through, so good luck, and we'll see you around. Oh yeah, then she asked a question about getting to MSW. Good question. MSW handbook or manual. It's online as well. It's under current students MSW manual. And I think it's even got like last year's manual. So there's a couple copies, but that's a really good one. I want to read that. Or at least glance over it. All right, thank you guys.
David was very patient. When he was talking about that somebody comes to a user base, he knows that when I call, it will be something he's never heard of. And that it's my fault.